Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. As the game evolves, there's been less call for specialist midfielder and more calls for midfielders who can do a bit of everything, or two-way midfielders. The problem is, there are few midfielders who can actually do both the defensive and attacking roles well. A couple of examples of those who can are Frenkie de Jong, Paul Pogba, and the younger Yaya Toure. As a result, when these midfielders do become available, their transfer value skyrockets, and one such midfielder is Tanguy Ndombele. So, let's have a look at what he can do. Just quickly before that, if you're new around here, please consider liking and subscribing. This channel is made for people like you, football lovers, so feel free to subscribe to join the community. Now, let's get into it. Tanguy Ndombele broke into the Amiens first team in 2015-16 at just 18 years of age. He was key in helping them get promoted from the French 3rd division, the Championnat National, to Ligue 2. Having impressed in the lower divisions, Ndombele was immediately snapped up by Lyon, initially on loan before making the move permanent in 17-18 for a total of just 10 million euros. Let's have a look at his playing position and style of play. When he broke through at Amiens, Ndombele often played out on the right wing due to his physical attributes and dribbling ability. But after moving to Lyon, and as his game matured and his match intelligence improved, he moved to the centre of midfield. Now, he's capable of playing at defensive midfield or central midfield equally well. Lyon is a possession-heavy team, averaging over 55% possession, so Ndombele has to be good with the ball at his feet. When they play in a 4-2-3-1, he plays in the 2, alongside another great young talent in Lucas Toussaint. But in attack, Ndombele would join Nabil Fekir in the attacking phase, and then drop back beside Toussaint when in the defensive phase. But if they played in a 4-3-3, Ndombele was comfortable playing as a right central midfielder, with Aouar on the other side of Toussaint. And in this position, he had even more freedom to burst forward and join the attack. So what is his style of play? Let's have a look before moving on to his stats. Well, he displays intelligence with and without the ball. In defense, he's very positionally aware, knowing when to press the opposition and when to drop back into shape. As Lyon's wingers are highly attacking, he often has to cover the wide areas, especially if they are counter-attacked against. His pace allows him to track back quickly, however, he's also equally adept at a high press in order to disrupt the opposition, as shown by his tackle numbers, which we'll come on to. And his game reading also allows him to make several interceptions. In attack, he's just as impressive. Perhaps his strongest trait is his dribbling ability, and this makes him extremely press resistant, consistently evading his opponents. A combination of strength and pace allows him to progress the ball from deep, and these long dribbles can carry his entire team up the pitch. But his match intelligence also allows him to make incisive passes into dangerous regions of the pitch, making him a dangerous playmaker. So how do his stats look? Well, for Lyon he ended the season with 7 assists, 1.9 tackles per game, 1.04 key passes per game, and 57.7 passes per game. That's all well and good, but let's compare these stats to other Lyon midfielders in order to give us some context. Yes, this means he ended with the joint highest assists for Lyon, second most tackles, third most key passes, and the highest passes per game, showing that the majority of Lyon's play went through him. For even more context, let's compare him to all the Ligue 1 central midfielders who made at least 20 appearances. As you can see, for key passes per game, he ranks 7th in Ligue 1. He's joined 2nd for assists per game, has the 5th most total passes per game, and only Savigny completes more dribbles per game than him. On the defensive end of things, only one man dribbles past him per 90, which is enough to put him in the top 5 in Ligue 1, and his 1 interception per game also has him in the top 5. But seeing as his likely destination is the Premier League, let's compare him to the Premier League central midfielders who made at least 20 appearances. We'll start with the attacking stats. Ndombele attempted 0.9 shots per game, which when compared to selected Prem midfielders would not place him in the top 10. However, his 2.8 attempted dribbles per game would place him top in the Premier League, ahead of the likes of Pogba and David Silva. His high average passes at Lyon, 61.5, will place him at 7th, only behind pass monsters like Jorginho, Fernandinho, David Silva and Granit Xhaka. His 1.4 key passes per game would just about place him in the top 10. However, some of the other players on this list take free kicks and corners, which Ndombele doesn't, so those set pieces would boost their metrics. His 0.2 assists per game would place him joint 2nd in the league, only bettered by David Silva. On the defensive end, his 3 tackles per game would place him only behind Ndidi and Idrissa Gueye, ahead of the likes of Kante and Fernandinho. However, his 1 interception per game would have him out of the top 10 in the league. His most likely destination is Spurs, so it only makes sense to compare a few of his statistics with his potential teammates. In terms of sheer pass numbers, he ranks top of the pile by a long way. His 1.4 key passes put him only behind Christian Eriksen. His 3 attempted tackles per game again would put him well ahead of the others, and his 0.9 shots per game would have him behind Eriksen and Dele Alli. So as we can see, Ndombele is a well-rounded midfielder who could bring a lot to Spurs. But how would he fit in? Well, as we discussed in a previous video, linked in the cards now, the deep midfield area is one which Spurs have struggled with. Their dedicated deep midfielders lack the ability to progress the ball from deep with incisive passing since Moussa Dembele left. Sissoko can do a bit of this by dribbling forward, and Harry Winks tends to be more of a lateral passer to move the opposition out of position. This has meant that, especially in big matches, Pochettino has had to drop Eriksen deep in order to do this. But this is not ideal, as his talent is better utilized up front. Tanguy Ndombele would fix this, being able to slot into any formation and free Eriksen to create, or Dele Alli should Eriksen leave. His passing, combined with his dribbling ability, means that he'll be perfect for the role. But how do you think he'll fit in? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.